Okay, so I have a few things that I wrote down about why the gospel, but most importantly, why the Bible is so important. Like, why is the Bible so important? I wrote down a few things on my phone. The gospel is very important because it is very important to God. We can see this in Mark 16 verses 15, Matthew 28 verses 19 through 20. There are a couple more scriptures that we can look at to see why the gospel is so important to God and why is it so important for us as his children to spread it to our brothers and sisters across the nation, across the world. The gospel is very important because the gospel is the good news, and the good news is that Jesus died so that we may be able to have everlasting life, that we can be able to have salvation and be redeemed. And we have another opportunity in spite of us being sinners, in spite of us falling short, in spite of us not being perfect. We have another opportunity because of the fact that Jesus died for us on the cross. And because Jesus died for us on the cross, he overcame death, which was supposed to be for us. But he overcame death. And because he overcame death, that means that he is here, as he said, to give us life so that we are able to have life more abundantly. Without the Bible, and without the gospel, we would not be able to know that Jesus died for us, right? But because it is printed in here, we're able to understand that Jesus died for us. We can be saved, we can be forgiven, we can be changed, we can be washed by his blood, and we can be revived. We can be reborn and have another opportunity at life because of the fact that Jesus died for us, overcame the devil, and overcame sin, and overcame death. Also, why the gospel is so important, and the Bible as well, is because of the fact that we are able to recognize, like, who have lived this life before us. They have overcame, they have sinned, they have fallen short, they have had good moments, they had bad moments. They were able to speak to Jesus, they were able to walk with him, they were able to talk with him. Even though we are not able to have that same opportunity, we're able to still see it in the Bible. We're able to see it in the gospel that Jesus was here before, and those same things that he was doing for the same things that he was doing for the people back in the Bible is the same things that he's doing here for us today. Also, what I wrote down was the gospel is a letter written to us by Jesus and the disciples of the past generation, explaining to us what to expect in this life, tips on how to cope with life and disappointments, and also showing us that everything is taken care of through Jesus dying on the cross, but mostly giving us hope and encouragement and understanding in today's life. And what I wrote down was the gospel helps many because it allows a lot of people to become free from past sins, from bondages, right? Also helps the people out there who have questions about, their own life, like the struggles or the things that they are experiencing in their own life. The gospel also shows us what to look for, what to expect, because really nothing is really a surprise in today's world, because it's really not a surprise. It's not like we just one day woke up and like, oh my gosh, something is going on and we do not understand it. No, we understand it because we have this. And because we have this, we're able to understand why certain things are taking place today that are not so good but is evil. The Bible for us is like a letter from God, a letter showing what to expect in today's life, what is the causes of things that is happening around us, like what actually took place. And we can see that in Genesis when sin entered the world. We do not have to stress, we do not have to worry, we do not have to ask a neighbor, we don't have to go on Google, we don't have to dig up some type of like time capsule or whatever the case is. This Bible right here, as I said, is our source. It's the source. Like the disciples and God, Jesus was able to put this together. The disciples were able to put this together so that we will be able to understand it, so that we may be able to understand life today, so that we may be able to understand why certain things are being taken place, and why there is death, and why is there no peace and no rest. And the Bible is here so that we can be able to look at it and be able to see everything and understand it, and understand the world that we are living in today. The gospel is important is because of the fact that a lot of us were not here when a lot of these things were taking place with Jesus, right? Like, we were not here when Jesus walked on water with Peter. We were not here when he rose Lazarus from the dead. Like, we were not here when he fed the 5,000. We were not here when, he healed the sick, or he healed the deaf, or he healed the blind. We were not here when Jesus was crucified on the cross. We were not here for those things. We were not here when people used to be stoned to death. We were not here to see people sacrifice animals because of sin. Like, we were not. But that is why we have the Bible, to really look back, to understand that this right here is filled with the information of life before. It's filled with past tense events that occurred when we were not here. And the Lord wrote down every single thing that took place in their time before, so that we cannot miss a beat. Like, we do not have to ask questions about certain things, because everything in here, every single thing that we may have a question about, is in this book. And if it was not for this book, then we would not understand what God would expect us to want to do today. We would not understand the concept of life today if it was not for the details, the significance details in this book. So basically right here, what I wrote down was, the gospel is also here to show us truth and lies, especially since there is sin in the world because of the devil. So basically, the gospel, as I said, is a letter from God towards us for strength, understanding, guidance, and help. The Bible is able to show us the truth of everything. A lot of people have their own thoughts about how life is supposed to be lived, and just a lot of things. Like, society has a lot of ideas, but in the Bible it kind of shines out what tells us what is truth and what is lies. Also, I would say a vulnerable letter. It's a lot of things in the Bible that is very vulnerable. I don't think because when you read the scriptures, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of things that were put on scene for us to see, either if it was with David, or with Noah, or with Abraham, Sarah, Saul, their business was put in the Bible, right? And we're able to see it, and God allowed us to be able to see it, their most vulnerable parts, their highs, their lows, so that when we enter our lows and our highs, we're able to understand that we can have something to look back on, a reference to look back on, to say, I don't have to feel alone or ashamed because of what I'm dealing with, or because of what I did, because I can look back and find hope, knowing that other people in the Bible were struggling, other people in the Bible fell short. But in the Bible also says that a righteous man falleth 7 times. But I'm just putting that out there. But other people fall short as well, What I also want to say was this. A lot of people wonder, oh, why do you believe in the Bible? It's written by men. But I'm at the end of the day, let's really talk about it. Because at the end of the day, we have to not lean on our own understanding. But then I feel once you start walking with God, it's different when you're not walking with God, so you won't really see it because your eyes have scales on them. But when I really look at the Bible, right, who else would it be written by? You know what I'm saying? No, for real. Who else would it be written by? It's written by his disciples. Jesus spoke in the Bible. And I'm like, at the end of the day, the Bible is something that is going on. The Bible is a prophecy. It's literally everything that happens in the Bible is going on right now. I don't see, there's not one thing that I don't see in the Bible that I don't see in reality today. When a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in the Bible because it's written by man and people are able to add stuff and, you know, people are able to take things out. But in Revelation, it literally talks about if that is happening, which it is, because, you know, a lot of people don't want the truth to be revealed. They want to sprinkle their own little lies in the Bible, right? But I honestly feel it's literally, I marked it, it's right here in Revelation, where it literally says this. It says that Revelations 22 verses 18 says, for I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him plagues and that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Okay, so basically that shows us there in Revelation, literally the last page. I literally marked it. It's literally right here, right? So it does talk about if people take things out of the Bible, if people add things to the Bible, there will be consequences to that, which is, you know. But what I'm saying is, like, the book is written for us, and I'm like, how will you not be able to, like, understand that? Like, a lot of people are not able to recognize, like, yes, the Bible is written by men, yes, but you also believe in textbooks that when you go to school, and a lot of times in the textbooks, those things are not real, but we believe them until, like, the actual truth comes out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are not real, but what we can say is that this Bible right here is real. The Lord, we did not just come out of, like, raisins. You know what I'm saying? We were not just formed out of thin air. Everything in this world is really, really, really planned out, and it takes something beyond us. We cannot form another human being. We cannot form, like, on social media, you read things on social media, you believe it, but then if somebody tells you about the Bible, then you're like, you don't really believe it. But I'm like, how can you not believe what is in the word that is being, like, as I said, the Bible is a prophecy, and it is things that occurred before, you know? It's not like the Bible is written and everything that's in the Bible, we were not able to see anything being happening. A difference if I read the Bible and I'm like, well, it said that people should be dying. I don't see anybody dying. It said people should be stealing. I don't see anybody stealing. It said that people should be, you know, there should be, like, neighbors hating their neighbors, or brothers killing their brothers, or sister, you know, envying another sister. Or at the end of the day, those things that we're able to see in the Bible is something that is occurring today. It's not something that, you know, who literally took time to write down, like, I'm really trying to say, like, if this was fake, right, 66 books in the Bible, I'm saying, who really took time to go in 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021, lived life from centuries ago, right? And really, really understood everything that was going to go on, write it down in this book, and then come back now in 2024. It sounds crazy. Things happened before we were born, before our parents' parents were born, before our parents' 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 parents, parents' 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 parents, parents' 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 parents, parents' parents' parents, parents' parents' parents. You see how much parents that is we're born. And at the end of the day, the Bible is important. It is needed. And if somebody comes to you and try to talk about God, don't make it like, it's not because we want to force the Lord, like we want to force God on you, or we want to force. No, we don't want to do that, but we just want to help you also, because we know what God did for us. And because we know what God did for us, we want to also help you so that you can also be set freed, that you can also live a life of joy. You know what I'm saying? At least a little peace sometime. Not saying like life will always be peaceful and you will always be happy, because that is like, we live in a world of sin. That is not reality here. That is not reality. No. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.